You guys are watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Be sure to say hello in the comments section. I do read what you say. All right, let's go to those NFL headlines today. Le'Veon Bell and the Philadelphia Eagles. What is the latest? There have been conflicting reports about the Eagles' interest in Le'Veon. Jason La Canfora of CBS Sports has been adamant that general manager Howie Roseman has his sights set on Le'Veon Bell. And La Canfora has been on this for weeks now. He said that the Eagles are going to reassess things next week about the best path forward here. But time is running out. October 30th is the trade deadline. And according to La Canfora, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to make at least one significant trade prior to the deadline. Well, the clock is ticking, ladies and gentlemen, and we do know that the Pittsburgh Steelers are actively shopping Le'Veon Bell, who apparently is going to show up for Week 7. Who knows? I have trust issues right now with Le'Veon Bell. And as we stand, the Eagles do have $10.8 million in salary cap space. Trading away Nick Foles would actually create more salary cap space too. But here's the other thing. Do the Pittsburgh Steelers actually want to trade Le'Veon Bell within the state of Pennsylvania to the Philadelphia Eagles? I kind of draw a comparison to the 49ers and the Oakland Raiders doing a trade. Two teams that hate each other a lot, different conferences, but it's the same thing with Pittsburgh and Philadelphia here. I think Philadelphia would need a big-time trade package to the Pittsburgh Steelers to actually make this whole deal go down. Le'Veon Bell is a top 3 running back in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. And if the Eagles get him, Philadelphia is firmly the favorite to win the NFC East. And I mentioned the conflicting reports here. Adam Schefter noted the Eagles have no plans to pursue Le'Veon Bell. This was a week ago. So all of a sudden, it's a case of who do you believe? Jason La Canfora of CBS or Adam Schefter of ESPN? What I do here on the Cam Rogers Show is present you guys with the reporting, and I let you decide. Now, if this trade were to go down, Pittsburgh is going to need more than a third-round pick because that's likely what the Steelers would get if Le'Veon Bell walks into free agency, all right, via a compensatory pick. So here is the trade package. Second-round pick from the Eagles along with a fifth-round pick, and Philadelphia gets Le'Veon Bell. Now, if you watched the game last night, if Carson Wentz continues to play the way he is, and Alshon Jeffrey as well, and Nelson Aguilar, maybe the need for Le'Veon isn't as high, and Philadelphia would go for a player such as, LeSean McCoy, Jordan Howard. I'll talk about those guys later in the show as well. My best guess here is that there is some preliminary interest from the Eagles for Le'Veon Bell. And as I mentioned, the Steelers are actively shopping Bell. But the other thing is this. I think GM Howie Roseman is going to look at LeSean McCoy more seriously than Le'Veon Bell, just because the asking price for Le'Veon may be too high from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I said, Bell is a top 3 running back in the NFL. Is he better than Zeke? For all you Cowboys fans out there, go ahead and vote in the comments section. B for Bell, Z for Zeke. Let me know what you think. If I had to guess, though, I think Philadelphia will make some calls. And everybody makes calls in the NFL every day about potential trades. So Howie Roseman's going to do his homework about Le'Veon, try to see what the price tag is for this running back, and then go ahead and look at LeSean McCoy, Jordan Howard, some of these other running backs out there that could perhaps be dealt before the trade deadline. So 18 days left to really get something going here if you are the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see what happens. I will say, in terms of just predicting what's going to happen, I think Le'Veon Bell is going to remain on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think he is going to be traded. Casual viewer on YouTube Live is asking me, do you believe the 49ers would try to acquire Le'Veon Bell? No, I don't think so. I think that is way beyond the realm of possibility. Yeah, I understand that Matt Breida is down and Jerick McKinnon is down, but so is Jimmy Garoppolo, and it seems like the season for the 49ers is just slipping away. And so for San Francisco to go out and make a trade for Le'Veon Bell when you have C.J. Beathard as your quarterback and a defense that is not playing very well, it just doesn't make much sense for me. Now, with that said, casual viewer, I will casually tell you that maybe GM John Lynch makes a run at Le'Veon Bell in free agency of 2019. Cut Jerick McKinnon because the cap hit, the dead money, wouldn't be that bad. You sign Le'Veon Bell to a big fat contract because the 49ers will have a plethora of money to play with in 2019, so keep that in mind. All right, I mentioned Jordan Howard. This is interesting, and this is new. Coming from NFL insider John Clayton. So he created quite a juicy rumor on Tuesday while doing a radio interview. He believes that Jordan Howard would be a, quote, sleeper candidate for the Philadelphia Eagles in their pursuit of a running back. Now, this isn't the first time we've heard about trade buzz with Jordan Howard. You may recall that he was thrown around in some trade rumors during the NFL draft. Clayton reports that Howard is currently unhappy with his role in the Bears offense and actually abruptly left the Bears Week 4 game against Tampa Bay. And by the way, that was a game that the Bears absolutely dominated in. So to hear this reporting is really interesting. Look, Jordan Howard is a downhill running back. He may not fit in the Matt Nagy scheme, and I understand that. Tariq Cohen may be the better fit here. Howard is like Adrian Peterson in terms of hitting that A-gap and just going. He's not great out in the passing game. He's not all that fantastic in terms of pass blocking or anything like that. He's a downhill runner. He's a bruiser. That's who Jordan Howard is. And you have the Eagles now, and I'm actually reasoning through this Clayton rumor here because it makes some sense, with Wendell Smallwood and Corey Clement, who are pass-catching running backs, right? They're more of the third down kind of back, the change of pace. With Jay Ajayi gone and LeGarrette Blount long gone, there's no bruiser running back right now for Philadelphia. Jordan Howard could be that guy. And with these reports here that Howard is unhappy with the Chicago Bears, there's a possibility that Chicago could engage in some trade discussions with the likes of the Philadelphia Eagles to perhaps make something happen. The question is, would the Bears do it? Is the relationship between Matt Nagy and Jordan Howard beyond repair at this point? I don't think it is. I could be wrong. I'm not there in the locker room. I really don't know what's going on. But sometimes frustrations can boil over. And we could be getting to that point between the Bears leadership and Jordan Howard. So you can't rule out a trade here with Howard and the Philadelphia Eagles. I would think the price tag for Howard would be less than it would be for Le'Veon Bell and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I ask you guys this. What running back out there should the Philadelphia Eagles trade for? Because Jason La Canfora and all these NFL insiders out there are sold that Philadelphia is going to make some sort of aggressive, big-time, blockbuster deal for a running back. Could be Le'Veon Bell. Could be LeSean McCoy. Talked about him on Wednesday. Could be Jordan Howard as well. LeSean McCoy recently said that he's letting his agent handle it and all this stuff, so he seems to think there's a possibility there because he didn't deny it by any means. So be sure to let me know in the comments section. Phil James on Facebook Live saying Tevin Coleman. Well, that would be interesting. That'd be a dark horse candidate, maybe, to be dealt to the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, folks, we are presented by FanDuel here on the Cam Rogers Show. Got a special offer for you guys. Go to FanDuel.com/chatsports. All you have to do is deposit $5, and you're getting $20 for free. You got to use that link at the bottom of your screen, FanDuel.com/chatsports, the #1 daily fantasy app out there. All right, let's talk about Earl Thomas because he's going to be having surgery on his left tibia, should be 100% for the 2019 free agency period. Now, Thomas suffered the injury during the fourth quarter of Seattle's 20-17 win over the Arizona Cardinals back in Week 4. Now, I guess in theory, Earl Thomas could be healthy by February, so maybe if Seattle somehow makes Super Bowl 53, not going to happen, Earl Thomas would be healthy for that game. But for all intents and purposes here, Thomas will be 100% for March 2018, which is more important here, as Earl Thomas hopes to cash out during the free agency period. The Cowboys and the Chiefs, I would think, are the favorites to get one of the premier free safeties in the NFL. A guy, by the way, who was having a great season up until the point he got hurt in that Seattle Seahawks versus Arizona Cardinals football game, which, by the way, Earl Thomas gave the middle finger to the Seattle sideline and all that. You guys saw that all over the internet. Interesting little note here from Adam Schefter, too. The Seahawks are not going to use the franchise tag on Earl Thomas, which means that's probably a good thing for Earl Thomas and probably Seattle's leadership too, because if they did franchise tag ET, oh boy, the relationship would get even worse. Now, there could be a reason to use the franchise tag, not to keep Earl Thomas, but to facilitate a trade, okay? Because that's what the Miami Dolphins did with Jarvis Landry, you may recall. They franchise tagged Landry, and then they went ahead and traded him away to the Cleveland Browns. So you get a bigger compensation package, if you will, if you franchise tag Earl Thomas, trade him away. Now, some key 2019 free agents. Obviously, Earl Thomas is one of the most important out there. Jadeveon Clowney, I don't think, is leaving Houston. DeMarcus Lawrence is not going to leave Dallas. Golden Tate is probably the best wide receiver for the open market. I don't think he's going to stay with Detroit. And Dante Fowler is an interesting name to watch for, especially for you 49ers fans out there hoping for some pass rush. Fowler could hit the open market. He's having a great year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, for you Cowboys fans, should Dallas sign Earl Thomas? Go ahead, type away in the comments section. Why for yes and for no. Like I said, Earl Thomas was having a great season up until the point he got hurt. Pro Football Focus had him as an elite grade. The one concern now is that, well, will Earl Thomas be 100% for sure by March 2019, and will he be the same player? That's a very real question, and I guess you could look to Richard Sherman as some sort of positivity and reason to be optimistic here, because Sherman, of course, entering 2018, was coming off that Achilles injury. And now he's having a fantastic season for the 49ers. I know San Francisco's secondary, collectively speaking, is not very good, but Richard Sherman is having one of the best seasons out there among all cornerbacks. So some reason for optimism there if you are a Cowboys fan and you want Dallas to sign Earl Thomas. Okay, how about the Raiders? Jon Gruden always gives us media people some fun things to talk about. First of all, Gruden is now on a weekly basis saying something tone deaf about the lack of pass rush for the Raiders. But he said something very interesting recently here in regards to adding more Seattle Seahawks players. He straight up said, we want more of them. Now, of course, the Raiders and the Seahawks are doing battle this week in London, and the Raiders have Marshawn Lynch and Bruce Irvin, both former Seattle Seahawks players. And Jon Gruden went out and said, oh, we want more of them. Well, the best Seattle Seahawk impending free agent is Earl Thomas by a landslide. So I'm kind of connecting the dots here. You look at the Raiders, after 5 weeks, they're allowing the third most yards per game in the NFL and the third most points per game in the NFL, 29.8. That's not very good. The defense is bad. The secondary is a concern. And Earl Thomas is one of the top-line safeties in the NFL. The guy had 3 interceptions in 4 games played, 5 pass breakups as well. Now, like I said, there is an element of uncertainty with the leg fracture that Earl Thomas had here, but the Raiders would be smart to at least try to get Earl Thomas onto this football team. Now, there are some young safeties in that back end there, Carl Joseph included, and they have invested in that position before via the draft, but if Earl Thomas is available, you try to get him. And by the way, Jon Gruden, let's cut him some slack a little bit in terms of what he's been saying lately, because the guy's not exactly a polished coach yet. And it's almost refreshing to hear him just kind of say stuff off the cuff because, well, we're just so used to coaching speak out there these days that, it is a little refreshing to hear Jon Gruden say some interesting things out there. Now, the Raiders are bad. They need this win against the Seattle Seahawks for some sort of momentum, feeling of confidence, I guess, the best way to put it. Are the Raiders the NFL's worst team right now? 1 for yes, 2 for no in the comments section. I got the broadcast going on my laptop. We thank you guys for tuning into the Cam Rogers Show here this morning. 1 for yes, 2 for no. I think the Giants are in the running for that position. I think the 49ers are in the running for the NFL's worst team out there. I think it's a 3-team race at this point, Giants, 49ers, and Raiders, as the worst team in the National Football League. Be sure to vote away. Let me know what you think. I'm seeing some 2s, seeing some 1s, 50-50 so far. We've got Eric chiming in via Facebook Live. Earl Thomas is done. Same broken leg twice in 3 years. That leg is too fragile. Thank you, Eric, for watching the program here. And hey, I understand your concern, and it is the second time on that leg, so I'm glad you brought that up. But with that said, we're talking about one of the premier safeties in the NFL, Eric, right? You want to tread carefully. You don't want to just overspend on Earl Thomas with too much guaranteed money with the uncertainty there with that leg fracture. So maybe you do it more incentive-based and all of that, but you still make a run at him if you are the Dallas Cowboys or the Kansas City Chiefs or any team out there that really needs a safety or any sort of help in the back end there. Roman chiming in as well. Watch it, the Niners are ranked number 13. In terms of what, Roman? Are we talking about your own power rankings? Let's be real. The 49ers are not a good football team right now, and that's not an indictment on the 49ers' talent. They just have too many injuries. Matt Breida, Jerick McKinnon, Jimmy Garoppolo, and the safety position is not working out very well with Jaquiski Tartt and Adrian Colbert. They're struggling. So I don't know where you're getting these rankings, my man, but the 49ers are probably 30th at best in the NFL. All right, let's talk about Leonard Fournette here. Could he be out until Week 11? That's the latest buzz that maybe the Jaguars play this very carefully. This is according to Florida Football Insiders that's saying that Fournette could be out until that time. I think it would be a smart thing. Jacksonville has, of course, the Dallas Cowboys this week. Fournette has already been ruled out for that game. After that, it's Houston in Week 7, the Eagles in London in Week 8, and then the Jaguars resume things later on after a bye week. So maybe Fournette could be out until then. He suffered a hamstring injury in the team's opener against the Giants. Then he missed 2 games, returned in Week 4, re-aggravated the hamstring, which can be very tricky, by the way. A hamstring injury can kind of appear out of nowhere yet again in terms of re-aggravation, even when you think you are healthy. So I think if you are the Jacksonville Jaguars and Doug Marrone, you play this very conservatively. Utilize TJ Yeldon, utilize Jamal Charles, who's now on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then go from there. All right, let's talk about LeSean McCoy. Could he be traded at some point? Well, McCoy and McDermott recently sounded off in regards to the rumor. McCoy said he's leaving it to his agent in the front office, while McDermott gave his classic coaching speak here that he's focused on the game versus the Houston Texans. McDermott did say that he and GM Brandon Beane have been talking. Meanwhile, on the Philly side, Doug Peterson did not rule out the Eagles making a move for a running back. I would expect the Philadelphia Eagles to be the most active team during the trade deadline, period. A, because they've been the center of so many trade rumors out there, and B, there is a very clear need for a good enough running back on first and second down situations. I don't think Corey Clement or Wendell Smallwood can be those guys. So LeSean McCoy would be a worthwhile option here. 3.8 yards per carry so far this season, honestly, is not all that bad when you consider the environment that LeSean McCoy is currently in. rookie quarterback who is way too raw to even be a starter right now, an offensive line that is completely depleted, lost 3 starters during the offseason, Richie Incognito, Eric Wood, and Cordy Glenn. So LeSean McCoy is not playing with good talent right now, and his stats really aren't all that bad. Now, if he is playing behind Philly's offensive line, which is far better than Buffalo's, with Jason Kelsey and Peters and Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks, McCoy's going to have his numbers spike up big time. So, trade package here involving Philly and Buffalo. The Bills get a 3rd-round pick and a 6th-round pick, while the Philadelphia Eagles, of course, get LeSean McCoy. I think the Bills don't really have all that need for a player right now. I think they would rather get a plethora of draft picks and then focus on 2019, because I don't think the Buffalo Bills are going anywhere this season in terms of playoff hopes or anything like that. So I actually think the LeSean McCoy trade scenario is more likely for Philadelphia than the Le'Veon Bell deal. For reasons I mentioned earlier in this show, I don't think Pittsburgh really wants to engage in negotiations with Philadelphia and actually get a deal done because intrastate rival, it seems kind of weird. I think the price tag would be too high for Philadelphia anyway. But for LeSean McCoy, I think the Bills would be willing to listen to some offers here. So, should the Bills trade LeSean McCoy? Go ahead and type away in the comments section. T for trade, K for keep. Let me know what you think on YouTube Live as well as Facebook Live. Like I said, the Bills aren't going anywhere. You might as well collect some draft picks here. Phil James chiming in. Options for trades are McCoy, Howard, Bell, and Abdullah. Amir Abdullah, that's an interesting one. Although I think Philly would rather have more of a, I guess we could say, higher volume type of running back. Amir Abdullah is not that guy. He's in a committee approach right now with the Detroit Lions. McCoy, Howard, Bell all make sense. I think McCoy is the most likely. I think Howard is definitely a sleeper. And then Bell is the long shot and probably the major hope for GM Howie Roseman, but I don't think he's actually going to make that deal happen. But we shall see. Meanwhile, could Colin Kaepernick be back in the NFL? So the New York Daily News recently wrote an opinionated piece here on what Max Kellerman said on First Take. So Max Kellerman said that Colin Kaepernick should be on the New York Giants. And then the New York Daily News basically echoed that sentiment. Yes, Colin Kaepernick should be on the Giants. So the first argument is that Eli Manning is a bad fit for New York as we stand. And if you watched Thursday night's game, last night's game, and A, I'm sorry for you, and B, you saw that Eli Manning is a shell of himself. I don't know what happened to the 2-time Super Bowl victor. I have no idea what happened to that Eli Manning, because this Eli Manning is just not the same. He's forcing balls to Odell Beckham Jr. He also is getting no pass protection either, but Eli Manning is struggling. And so I think that's point number one. And by the way, he's getting booed week in and week out from the Giants faithful. That is very clear. The main issue is Manning's lack of mobility. Some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now are somewhat mobile. Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, Carson Wentz. And Kaepernick can either A, be a solid backup to Eli Manning, if for some reason Eli picks it up, or B, be the future and perhaps the new starter in New York if Eli Manning continues to struggle here. So you look at Colin Kaepernick, he's of the same age as Kirk Cousins and Matt Stafford. Manning is 7 years older. And at some point, the New York Giants have to look to the post-Eli era here. And you look at Colin Kaepernick, the last time he played, 2016, coming off an injury, by the way. His passer rating in the first 2 games, 66.2. Passer rating in the next 5 games that year, 2016, 93.6. And then the last 4 games, 100.1 with the 49ers. Kaepernick has never had a receiver like Odell Beckham Jr. either. So his best wide receiver with the 49ers in 2016 was like Jeremy Curley. All right? So, I mean, that's what we're looking at here. So Kaepernick could have a premier wide receiver in Odell Beckham Jr., a really good wide receiver number 2 in Sterling Shepard, and then one of the more electric young running backs in the NFL in Saquon Barkley. Kaepernick just provides a threat that Eli Manning doesn't. Eli Manning is a statue in the pocket. And look, Tom Brady is too, but Brady is way more precise as a thrower. So yeah, I know the career stats for Colin Kaepernick don't stand out as elite by any means, but this is a guy who had very successful years with the San Francisco 49ers. That proves to me that this guy can win. He's a gamer. He's gritty. And he deserves to be in the NFL. Now, yes, he has the ongoing collusion case against the National Football League, but so did Eric Reid. And he got signed by the Carolina Panthers. So I don't think that's going to hold him back. And Kaepernick wants to be in the NFL, guys. I'm sick and tired of hearing these comments. Kaepernick does not want to play football. Of course he wants to play football. He's been working out with Eric Reid for months now to get back into football shape. And so why would there be this sentiment that Kaepernick doesn't want to play football? Of course he does. He loves the game. I mean, the guy wants a Super Bowl ring like any other player out there does too. So perhaps Max Kellerman and the New York Daily News are onto something here. And Giants fans, I'm talking to you personally. You saw the game last night. It was not very encouraging. And so, at the very least, you bring in Colin Kaepernick for a freaking workout just to see what the guy can do. It's amazing that teams out there have yet to do that. It was almost Seattle that did it first, and then that was all a mess after that. You guys remember that news. But the Giants here, it's worthwhile. Bring Colin Kaepernick in, see what he can do, and I'll tell you this, Kaepernick being back in the NFL will not hurt the TV ratings, will not hurt the wallets of the NFL owners out there. That I can tell you, because we have learned, based on a recent USA Today study, that Colin Kaepernick and the kneeling during the national anthem and the criticism from President Trump have nothing to do with NFL viewership out there. Actually, winning and losing has a bigger effect. So the Giants should at least bring in Colin Kaepernick for a workout. You guys are watching the Cam Rogers Show. Want to give a shout out to Mizzen and Maine. They provide the clothing here at Chat Sports. I'm wearing one of their shirts right now. Go ahead and get one for yourself. Comfortable.af is indeed the website. Shout out to you, Mizzen and Maine. All right, guys, let's talk Dez Bryant. Is he going to the 49ers? So Adam Schefter was recently doing an interview, and he was asked about it. Should the 49ers sign Dez Bryant? Well, here's the reality. San Francisco is 1-4. They're without Jimmy Garoppolo or Jerick McKinnon, and likely Matt Breida for the foreseeable future. And it's kind of amazing that there's actually buzz right now about Dez Bryant in San Francisco. Now, Adam Schefter straight up said no, the 49ers will not sign Dez Bryant. The argument being, Dez would have to rapidly learn a playbook for a team that doesn't even have its starting quarterback and its season rapidly going away from them with only one win so far. And by the way, the most recent loss being the Arizona Cardinals. So I don't think Dez Bryant would even want to be on the San Francisco 49ers, if you ask me. He wants to be on a contender. That is probably priority number one for him. Priority number two is, of course, to be with a good quarterback. And C.J. Beathard is fine, but he's not Tom Brady. You know, he's not any quarterback like that in the NFL, of course. So for Dez Bryant, we have the latest BetDSI odds for his new team in 2018. There you go. The Patriots are the favorite outside of the field. Seattle is there. Houston at plus 835. The Dallas Cowboys, forget about it. They're not bringing in Dez Bryant, so don't even bring that up to me in the comments section, folks. I'm sorry, it ain't going to happen. But Dez wants an opportunity to be successful in the NFL, and I don't think the 49ers provide him with that opportunity. I think the New England Patriots do, of course, and Dez has been very vocal before that he wants to be on the New England Patriots and catch passes from Tom Brady and line up alongside Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman. Now, the Houston Texans would be an interesting team. There you see Dez in a Houston jersey, and that was actually a tweet from DeAndre Hopkins way back in April when Dez initially got cut by the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Dez has been vocal that, yeah, I want a chance at playing the Dallas Cowboys twice a season. Well, maybe he can play for an NFC East team out there like the New York Giants. Dez and Odell, what a pairing that would be. The only problem is the Giants and the Cowboys have already played, so it'd only be one game for Dez if he were to sign with the Giants anytime soon. Here's the deal with Dez Bryant, just to put a bow on all this. He has hinted repeatedly that he will be in the NFL soon. As we stand, Dez Bryant has been working out, getting his mind right, getting his body right, putting himself in the right mental state to get back to the NFL, but he has never really given any insight in terms of future visits. Now, Dez Bryant has been tweeting often about his future and all of that, and I am sick of the haters out there that are calling out Dez Bryant, saying he's washed up and all of that. Dez Bryant very much deserves to be on an NFL team right now. We have Jose saying on YouTube Live, I honestly think the Eagles will sign him. That would be an interesting move. We'll see what happens there. I have talked about Philadelphia before as a potential destination. Another comment coming in, Houston Texans or the Vikings. I would think Dez would like to be on Minnesota. I just don't know if Minnesota has any interest in Dez right now. Their wide receivers are panning out really well. Houston would be an interesting team to watch for, though. They have some injuries there, although Kiki Cutie is emerging nicely. They have DeAndre Hopkins as well, but Will Fuller has been dinged up, been dealing with a hamstring lately, so maybe Dez could make some sense to the Houston Texans. Other teams being mentioned in the comments section. I'm seeing the Carolina Panthers as well. Luke chiming in on YouTube Live. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Devin Funchess is there. Torrey Smith is there, but those guys aren't elite by any means. So maybe Carolina would be a good destination for Dez Bryant. But here's the deal. We don't have any rumors out there from team-specific kind of buzz that team wants Dez Bryant. It's all coming from the Dez side of things. Aside from, of course, the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. Those two teams actually offered Dez something. We have Gene chiming in, Tennessee Titans as well. Marcus Mariota would be a good match. I agree. I think the Titans could use a red zone target in Dez Bryant. I think he would help big time in terms of that offense that is struggling right now to score any points. All right, so we'll see what happens with Dez. Here's what I'm telling you. He's not signing with the 49ers. If you guys are a loyal watcher of the Cam Rogers Show, you know that I have Dez Bryant going to the New England Patriots. Hey, folks, we are presented by BetDSI, the best sports book out there. Go ahead, sign up, chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code CAM120. You can tell them I sent you, and you're getting a 120% deposit bonus. And I got an NFL Pick'em game going on this week, ladies and gentlemen. Every week I announce my picks for the NFL, and every week you guys call me out. Well, you know what? It's time to actually go against me, all right? So it's very simple. It's free to enter my game. If you finish in first place, you're getting $25 right out of my back pocket, all right? So DM me on Twitter. I will send you the link to my game, and then I'll give you the directions and all that good stuff, all the details you could possibly need in terms of getting into the Cam Rogers Show NFL Pick'em game. A lot of intensity. I'm getting DMs up the wazoo to come and join the game, so be sure to get in on the action. DM me on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Go ahead and DM me on my Facebook page, The Cam Rogers Show, as well. However you want to get to me. All right, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys perhaps making a trade for DeVante Parker. There's increased buzz out there that Miami is unimpressed with DeVante Parker and want to trade him. This coming from Michael Lombardi of The Athletic. And honestly, really not that surprised. DeVante Parker is in this Corey Coleman, Laquan Treadwell, Brashad Perryman kind of camp of bust wide receivers so far. Parker, a former first-round selection. And of course, the Dallas Cowboys have problems at wide receiver. I mean, just think about it. You're a defensive coordinator going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Who scares you at the wide receiver position? Allen Hurns, Cole Beasley, Michael Gallup? Nobody. DeVante Parker wouldn't necessarily scare a defensive coordinator either, but he could help, and he has talent. He just needs an opportunity. And I think he would get that with the Dallas Cowboys. You go back to his best season, it was last year. He caught 56 passes for 744 yards and 4 touchdowns. And I don't think the price would be too high either in terms of the Miami Dolphins. I think they're just desperate to get rid of this guy. So that lowers the price a little bit. Maybe Dallas makes a move. I'm seeing a comment from Doris on Facebook Live. Dallas needs Dez. Well, I guess you could say they do, but they're not going to sign him. I'm sorry, Doris. That time is over. But if you were to grade the Dallas Cowboys offense so far, I think it's got to be a D. Honestly, I mean, the only reason it's not an F is because of Ezekiel Elliott, who continues to ball out despite zero threat in the passing game. So Zeke is eating, but everybody else on the offensive side for Dallas is not. Go ahead, type away, grade the Cowboys offense.